everybody, it is Monday. Thank you for joining me again here on Brunansky's vlog. Just another episode here as we do every Monday. We're going to cover movie news, a movie review, and a little bit more towards the end, so stay tuned for that. Also, towards the end, we've got a new segment that we're going to be adding that we'll talk a little bit about, so you'll know what to keep your eyes open for that. I do want to jump right into the news because we got some pretty cool stuff that just came out this past week. And then weekend, because we're still trying to catch up with everything that happened from Comic-Con in San Diego, because there was a lot of news that dropped there, and last week we just didn't have an opportunity to get to everything. So we're going to just jump back into some of that news that dropped there, as well as a little bit more of what's happening right now. So let's go ahead and cut to the news segment, and we'll go ahead and get this show started. Thanks. All right, Marvel announced that the Captain Marvel film will be set in the 90s. That's right, baggy jeans, hacky sacks, Alanis Morissette, and Pogs could all possibly be making a comeback in this film. Now, this is clearly before the events of Iron Man back in 2008. Also, we do get to see Skrulls in this film. And for those of you unfamiliar with the name of Skrull, it's an alien life form that has shape-shifting abilities, in short. So does this mean Marvel is setting up a possible Secret Invasion storyline for Phase 4? It's possible. Secret Invasion is a storyline about aliens posing as Marvel characters. And it's a good story to check out at your local comic book store. You'll be able to get all of the issues that you need there, so be sure to support local. Also, there's a lot of speculation online about who could be an alien imposter. Now, I'm leaning towards Nick Fury and Black Widow. At the end of Iron Man 1, Fury tells Iron Man that he's part of a bigger universe, he just doesn't realize it yet. So this is all speculation, but I think Nick Fury could be a Skrull in disguise, and that's why he started the Avengers initiatives to spy on them, and why he keeps Black Widow so close as well. Who knows? If you have a theory, leave it in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. All right, next up, Warner DC announced that their next film after Aquaman will be Shazam, and production is scheduled to begin in February of 2018 at present. So for those of you unfamiliar with Shazam, he's actually two different people, so I'll explain that. So Billy Batson is around 12 to 14 years old, depending upon which comic book run you're reading, and he gets imbued with powers of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, thus making up the Shazam title. And he gets these from a mystic who is too old to continue the fight against evil. And all Billy has to do once he gets the power is say Shazam, and he turns into a Superman-like hero. So he's a grown-up superpowered hero with the mind of a preteen/teen, again, depending upon which run you're reading. So it's pretty great. If I could, I would like to cast my vote for John Hamm getting cast as Shazam. Now, if you've seen John Hamm in any comedies, you probably agree that he could pull it off, the adult superhero who thinks like a kid, flawlessly. Now, I haven't seen any news linking Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to this film, even though he has been cast as Black Adam, and Black Adam is the nemesis to Shazam. So it's still unclear as to how that's going to work, but as more news is provided, I'm sure we'll cover it here. And if you have any additional thoughts about it, go ahead and leave a comment below. Next up, Lionsgate announced that they're interested in doing a possible spin-off film for the John Wick franchise. Now, Lionsgate won the rights to a script titled Ballerina and hopes to create a female-centric action flick from the John Wick franchise. Now, I think this could be a pretty cool idea because after watching Atomic Blonde this past weekend, stay tuned for my review later in the show for that. I'm curious to see what else comes of the news, and hopefully we'll see the casting announcements and more like that soon. Sooner than later, rather. So there are some pretty bad ladies in the Wick franchise already in those first two films. So I'm not sure if those ladies are actually going to be the protagonist or if they're going to completely set up new characters and a new character specifically in mind for this new role. I'd also be down for a spin-off of just the Continental. The hotel has such great mystery about it in the John Wick franchise that I would like to see that explored a little bit more in movies. So, you know, stay tuned for more news about the Continental, possibly, hopefully, fingers crossed. Definitely stay tuned for more news about this Ballerina, possible spin-off franchise. And yeah, we'll see what develops there. Now, Variety reported that Bryce Dallas Howard is set to make her directorial debut with the film Sort of Like a Rock Star. Now, according to Variety, this film will be an adaptation from the novel of the same name, written by Matthew Quick. Now, when Howard isn't running from dinosaurs in high heels, she's been busy behind the camera directing short films already. So I'm curious to see more from this movie as things get closer and more things progress. The story was originally set up with Fox Searchlight, which typically does lower budget dramatic films, and I feel like it might fall right into their wheelhouse. So the basic premise of the story is a female high school student named Amber Appleton decides after an altercation at home to live in her mom's school bus during her senior year. So sure, why not? That sounds intriguing enough. It's got some good drama there, so let's see what comes of it as we get closer. Currently, this film is still in early development, so we'll just have to wait and see. And if you'd like to read that article from Variety, the link is in the show notes below. Happy belated birthday, Lord of the Rings. That's right. On Sunday, the Fellowship of the Ring book turned 63 years old. So make sure you all go out and enjoy that movie, or you go back and you revisit that book. It is a big book, so take your time with it. Now, also, Jared Leto is in talks to possibly star in a Bloodshot movie with Sony. Now, I was not familiar with the character of Bloodshot, so I had to do some research. And I guess he originally appeared in Valiant Comics in 1992 as a character named Angelo Mortali. Now, he was a hitman for the mob, turned to witness protection after getting framed for a murder, which seems kind of odd because he's already a murderer. So why would he need to be framed for a murder? It just didn't make any sense unless, like, for some reason, like, the murder didn't live up to his standards and he was like, oh, no, that is not me. I don't get why. But anyway, moving on past that point. While in witness protection, the feds inject him with these nanonites, which are these tiny little computers, and he is rebuilt with superhuman strength and healing powers. And he's also made to be a living weapon named Bloodshot. So it sounds kind of cool. It sounds like this could be like a really awesome action, vengeful tale, just like rampaging through town, like killing people, like all these bad guys and everything else. So that sounds like fun. It could be a fun action movie. I'm not familiar with the character, so I can't really speak too much about the stories. But if you're familiar with the comic, go ahead and leave comments below and let us know what you think. And then also, if you're a Jared Leto fan, you can leave those comments below as well, and we can go ahead and just kind of share that fandom together. All right, we're going to go ahead and segue into movie reviews. So let's go ahead and cut to that right now. All right, this weekend I had the opportunity of getting to the theaters and checking out Atomic Blonde. So let's go ahead and get into that review right now. This film was set in the 1980s, pre the Berlin Wall coming down. So if you know your history, you know that's a pretty big deal. And the film starts off right with that speech of Reagan talking about bringing down the wall. And then from there, we're done. It's right into the movie and we are moving. This film is all style. I was so pleased with how well this movie looked and how they just created this 1980s spy meets action stylistic feature. I can't speak enough to the set design, the clothes, even when they're transitioning to a different scene at a different place, the way they put the title on the screen to show you, okay, now this is where we are. It's bright neon colors, it's 80s goodness and music. I had such a fun time. Now, there were some people online complaining about like the story and everything like that being a little thin. Granted, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. You guys will have to see it and decide for yourselves. For me personally, I went into this just wanting a rock and roll good time at the movies, and I got rock and roll. This was such a great acted film. The cast in it is incredible. I'll put the link to the IMDb page in the show notes below, so you can go ahead and click on that and go check out everybody. John Goodman is phenomenal in this film, as always. It's John Goodman. And also Charlize Theron plays a great action hero. There's a lot of people like, can she do it? She did it. And she did it well. I was so impressed with her performance. The director, David Leitch, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry, David. But the director did such a great job actually choreographing these fight scenes for the camera and getting everything squared away so that when the fight scene is happening, we see the action. We don't have too many of those like super close cuts. There's none of that. It's actually a well-structured shot and it looks good on screen. It was kind of reminiscent of if you're watching like the Netflix Marvel shows with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Daredevil Season 2 as Punisher, Luke Cage, where they always have that one close proximity fight. that happens in like a stairwell or a hallway or something like that. There's one or two of those in this movie, and they look great. And it's believable that Charlize Theron would actually be able to handle herself in these situations. These guys are fighting, she's fighting right back, and these guys are not surviving. I won't give any spoilers away for the end of the movie, but let's just say the gentlemen that go up against her, they are not having a good day. Let's get back to the action. There's some really good gunplay scenes, and the director David also worked on the John Wick series. He's uncredited on his IMDb for directing, but I know that he had some hand in it based off of his credation there, so you can tell the gun fu, if you will, of how she's using guns and how she's kind of not just shooting bullets, but actually using them as a blunt instrument is all very well crafted and very, again, styled. So Atomic Blonde is in theaters right now. You can check this out. I definitely recommend you see this movie. I had a great time at the theater, and I'm going to give this film both high fives because I walked in, I got exactly what I expected, and then I got to walk right out. Now, if you are the type of person that gets uncomfortable watching amorous activities take place on the big screen, you might want to avoid part of this film. Maybe that's when you do the, stop the movie, run out to use the restroom, get another refill of popcorn or whatever. Because there is one scene in specific where Charlize Theron and Sofia Boutella share a very intimate moment on screen, and you see that whole moment. Again, all of the shots in this film are framed really well, so you get to see what's going on that stage, and it looks great as a giant picture. Now, again, amorous activities, you have been warned, but again, no spoilers. But definitely go check out Atomic Blonde in theaters right now. This movie's getting all the high fives. I loved it. All right, it's Monday morning, which means the box office report numbers are in, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what everybody else saw this weekend. Coming in at number 5 is Spider-Man Homecoming with 13,450,000. Domestically, it's around a total of 278 million, and I believe we also just crossed the $600 million mark globally. So job well done, Spider-Man Homecoming. Coming in at number 4 is Atomic Blonde at 18,554,000. Now this had an approximate budget of around $30 million, so it may break even, but chances are we might actually see this doing better on DVD and Blu-ray. I still recommend everybody go out and see it, as you just saw from my review. So if you haven't gone out to the theater to check this out, definitely go do that, and let's pump those numbers. Coming in at number 3 is Girls Trip at $20,085,540. Now, this is rated 88% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and it only had a 35% drop from last week. So this is a really, really good sign for this film. I'm almost inclined to go see this movie in theaters, even though I know I'm not the target demographic for it, because it's doing so well, and word of mouth on this film is so great that I feel like this could be a comedy that carries, and we don't see it have dramatic drops as time moves on. So great job to Girls Trip and everybody involved. You guys clearly made something special, and if you've seen it, leave it in the comments below and let me know what you thought about it, because right now it seems that everybody who's watched this movie, for the most part, has really enjoyed it. Coming in at number 2, the Emoji Movie at $25,650,000. Wow. This movie got such poor critic reviews that people were actually making fun of how much negativity was involved with the reviews for this film. So if you go online, if you're on Twitter or something like that, you can find these quite comical compilations of all of the worst reviews for this film because it's just doing so poorly as far as critics are concerned. And then if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, the Rotten Tomatoes score for the audience is also very low, and it's certified rotten, if you will. So we'll see what happens next week with the Emoji Movie. I'm assuming it's going to have a big drop, but hey, it made it in the top 5. It's number 2 this week, so good on you. And coming in at number 1 is Dunkirk with 28,130,000. Really proud of you guys for going out and supporting Dunkirk and not letting the Emoji Movie take the number 1 spot this weekend. So job well done to you guys. Great effort getting out to the movies this weekend to see Dunkirk. I still recommend it. My review's on the website, so if you want to go back, you can go into the movie review segment, and you'll see my review for Dunkirk there. Spoiler alert, I loved it. Right now, it's my favorite film of the year so far. So definitely check out Dunkirk. So again, just to recap, coming in at number 5 was Spider-Man Homecoming, number 4, Atomic Blonde, number 3, Girls Trip, number 2, The Emoji Movie, and number 1, Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. All right. Also coming out this weekend on in theaters, we have Kidnap, starring Halle Berry. We have Detroit, starring Anthony Mackie, John Boyega, directed by Catherine Bigelow. That's been getting some pretty good positive press already so far, so keep your eyes open for that. The Dark Tower, starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. And an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, by the self-proclaimed inventor of the internet himself and former Vice President Al Gore. So I don't know. I'm probably going to see Detroit and Dark Tower. That's what I would like to get to the theaters to see this weekend. So hopefully I can make that happen and throw the reviews up on the website for you guys to check out. Also, again, if you prefer to read over watch, you can always go to my WordPress because all my reviews are posted there as well. But that's just in text format. There's no video there. So coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week, we have Phoenix Forgotten, Going in Style, Colossal, and The Circle. Now, 3 of these 4 movies I remembered being in theaters. I don't remember anything about Colossal. So I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's actually a decent cast. How did I miss that? I have no idea. So if you saw Colossal and you're like, yeah, it's pretty fun, leave it in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts about Colossal and why I should watch it. These are going to be available on DVD and Blu-ray, so I should be able to pick it up on Redbox or something like that fairly soon. I have only seen The Circle, so if you want to go to my WordPress, Brunansky's blog, you can go ahead and do that, and you'll actually see my review for The Circle there. I did not see Phoenix Forgotten or Going in Style. Those just flew right past my radar. So those are the 4 movies coming out on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Now, before we sign off, I do just want to say thank you again to everybody who has been subscribed and commenting and just kind of sharing what we're doing here and joining the conversation. So thank you guys so much for that. If you haven't clicked subscribe, now would be a good time to do that. Also, go ahead and leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed what we talked about this week, and then leave your comments below if there was anything in particular that stood out where you're like, yes, or what about this next time? Leave it below. Get the conversation starting. And we've got one special segment that we're going to move to now. This is just going to be a conversational piece just to get people thinking about Doctor Strange and moving forward into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what we think his role might be. So stay tuned for that. Definitely leave your comments on that because that is designed to spark thought and get the conversation going. So I hope it works, especially if you're a Doctor Strange fan like I am. So again, thank you guys so much. As always, we will be back next Monday. Until then, have a great week. Make sure you drink plenty of coffee. And if you're in a warmer climate, definitely stay hydrated with plenty of water. All right, guys. See you next Monday. Let's talk Doctor Strange. Now, I love Doctor Strange, both in the comics and especially the movie by Scott Derrickson. Now, this is a hero unlike others. He actually chooses to be a hero. He makes self-sacrificing decisions to actually become the Sorcerer Supreme to save all of reality and all fabrics of reality. Now, in the movies, we don't actually get to see him become the Sorcerer Supreme. We just get to see him become Master Strange because Brother Voodoo, Drum, as you see him get stabbed in the scene when he's fighting Caecilius, he's no longer the master of the New York Sanctum, so Doctor Strange becomes the master, but we don't actually see him become the Sorcerer Supreme, which I think is pretty interesting. It also makes me wonder if Brother Voodoo is a more powerful wizard and magician than Doctor Strange, possibly Wong, possibly Mordo. We don't know. We don't really know what Mordo's status is. We just know that he's the right hand to the Ancient One, which could mean he's already well past being a master of a sanctum, but we don't quite know because that's not really fleshed out. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Also, what do you guys think about Mordo not being in an Infinity War? I find that curious because we have Wong in there, and we have Doctor Strange, and we have Loki. You would think at the end of Doctor Strange, with Mordo wanting to get rid of all of the magicians and wizards, that would come into play when we have this cataclysmic event happening. Why wouldn't he be there to stop Doctor Strange and anybody else who's wielding magical power? He wants to get rid of the sorcerers, so where is he in Infinity War? I don't know. I hope it's explained. We'll have to wait and find out. Finally, do you think that we're going to actually see Doctor Strange become the Sorcerer Supreme in Infinity War, or Is he just going to be a master magician and kind of just working with the Avengers, still under the tutelage of Wong? But do we actually think that we're going to get to see that? We know he has a small part in Thor Ragnarok. Will he be a Sorcerer Supreme in Thor Ragnarok? Or again, is he just the Master Strange in charge of the New York Sanctum while he helps Thor track down Loki and Odin? So we'll have to wait and see for Thor Ragnarok. That comes out in November, so we have a little bit more information we'll be receiving sooner. But throw down in the comments below what you guys are hypothesizing for the future of Doctor Strange, because I'm really curious to find out, when does he become the Sorcerer Supreme, and where's Baron Mordo? Why isn't he involved in Infinity Wars, since he's trying to eliminate all magic and all wizard and sorcery at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you've got a hypothesis, even if you're just like, this could be crazy, wild out there, throw it in the comments below. The weirder, the better. Let's get to talking. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for a special DVD and VOD segment dropping later this week. But otherwise, as always, we'll see you next Monday.